why Zenless Zone Zero will fail. Now, before you get mad, I don't want the game to fail. I'm still going to play the game, but I want to set the narrative straight. I am making this video because I think the way the community is reacting to this game will cause it to fail. So what is a failure in this context? A failure to me is no one is talking about your game. It's kind of on the back burner, and no one's really making that much content on it. And I think people are saying or making a lot of excuses about the game right now that don't really make sense, that are deterring players that would want to play or would play if they didn't hear those opinions. So I want to talk about that today. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, we're going to talk about the combat. Now, this one pisses me off. How is the combat bad? Explain to me how visually, mechanically, the combat is bad. Now, I have a video I'll put up somewhere. You know what? I'm not going to do that cringe shit, but I'll put a video, I'll link it, that I made previously on Zenless Zone, where I literally compared Wuwa in Zenless Zone Zero, and the combat literally overlaps. It's literally the same buttons you press, you mash the exact same, you parry the exact same. It's almost even the same sound effect. How about we just record your hands playing Wuwa, playing a hologram, and let's see what your fingers look like, because I guarantee you mash too, and the only time you don't mash is when your ass is fucking dead. So if you can say Wuwa's combat is good, why are you saying Zenless Zone Zero's combat is bad? I do not get that. That is just a lie that people are just spewing for absolutely no reason. I think what a lot of people mean is the enemies play bad, right? Like they don't do a lot of damage, they're not that active. But I'll be real, where I'm at in the game right now, they kind of active and they kind of doing a lot of damage. And I'm tired of people spewing these lies that the combat is bad, okay? And why would this make the game fail? Because most people that get into this game, it's because, oh, the combat looks cool, the animations are cool. So when you just tell people, oh, it's bad, don't play, the combat actually sucks, it's gonna deter so many people, and they're just not even gonna try the game, because people just all of a sudden value their time nowadays. But whatever, I just think this is bad. Stop fucking lying. And I'm trying not to swear, but I have to, because it's just, this is the one that annoys me, because it's just straight up a fucking lie. Now, what can they do to fix it? I think all they really need to do is just up the damage and maybe make the bosses more active. Increasing that urgency when you fight will give you a reason to parry, give you a reason to do chain attacks, etc. And I'm not gonna go into details on all the combat, but yeah, I think people are just spewing lies with the combat. It's just not bad. If you play HSR or Genshin, or even Neyairegg, shut up. Stop just lying and making excuses for no reason, which brings us to my next point. Now we're going to talk about the empty excuses that people are giving. I always think it's odd how someone can think something and not be able to prove it or provide evidence as to why they think the way they think. And then they continue thinking that dumb fucking shit that they think. Bro, stop making up excuses that don't make sense. It's like if we have a pie on the table and you're like, oh, I don't want to eat it because it's cherry. And I say, okay, well, let's cut into it and see. Oh, wait, it's an apple pie. We can eat it. And you're like, oh, well, I'm allergic. Bro, just say you don't want to eat the pie. Just say, hey, I'm watching my calories. I don't want to eat it. Done. You don't gotta make up excuses. Just say you don't like the game. It's not your type of game. You thought it was something else. That's it. But you don't make up and stuff. Say, oh, this is bad about the game. The combat is bad. The UI is bad. Speaking of the UI, let me prepare something for you. Here is the UI. This is what it looks like now. How is this bad? Please, can an artist, a professional artist who works on UI, explain to me how this is bad? Please. Like, do you want the fucking UI to look like this? This is what you want the UI to look like, huh? You want it to be a big play button, big buy button, story? Is that what you want, huh? Like, holy, like, do you want the menus to look like this, huh? Like, what is wrong with this? And while we're here, for anyone that disagrees, I'm gonna make everyone who disagrees with me or who thinks the UI is bad look incredibly stupid right now. I'm gonna give you exactly 2 seconds to prepare. 1, too late. Let's go ahead and get into it. The menu is bad, huh? Okay. It literally says the fucking name under the symbol. You can't read. Can you not fucking read? And this text is pretty fat. You can read it from a while away. So can you not read this? Do I have to zoom in more? Huh? Store. That's an O, by the way. Okay. Store. Wow. The Iridu City Fund. Wow. Signal search. So you mean to tell me you log into the game and this confuses you? Oh God, I log into the game. Bro, what does this symbol mean? What is this? Why is it taking? Just read. Just read what it says. That's all you gotta do. You just look at the letters and you just read DMs, options. Here, I'll walk through it for you just so you can understand. This is more stuff. What is more stuff? More stuff is more options. Okay, and you can see training, proxy handbook, mail. Do I need to read the rest? I don't think I need to read the rest. I think this is just incredibly stupid. The UI, there's nothing wrong with the UI. So the last one I want to talk about is the colors. People are saying the colors are muted. I'm not even gonna go and explain this one, because you can just look at the screen. Shut up. If you say that the colors are muted, just shut up. Don't just make up bull crap. Don't say that the colors are muted. Shut up. I'm sorry, but I gotta be disrespectful on this one. Just shut up, sit down and go play something else, bro. If you're making up that dumbass excuse, it's just so annoying, because all of these empty excuses are deterring people from playing the game, because it's pushing the narrative that it's a bad game, when actuality, if these people got in themselves, they would see that it's not actually an issue. It's just literally not. And it just annoys me, because the game is actually really good. Jesus. Now we're gonna get into the one that is most justified, and it's on the company 100%, the TVs and story. Now I'm putting these together because they go hand in hand. But people are complaining about, oh, the TVs, they're too much, they're too long, they're boring, the story's boring. Now I'll say a counter argument. I don't think the story's boring. I think the story is more lively than any story I've ever seen. I think the characters actually have life to them, and the way that they tell the story with the comics and even the cutscenes is actually very unique and engaging. I think the problem is, a lot of us, we came into this game expecting it to be like every other game. HSR, all these games, we kind of just skip through it, don't really care too much, we just want the rewards. Now I know HSR has a good story, okay, we got that out the way, but I'm just saying generally I think a lot of gacha players do skip stories. Here's what I don't understand, and I'm going to use Wuthering Waves for example, because we all know this. People complain about a skip button. They say, oh man, the story's boring, put a skip button. Oh, we can't do this. Okay, so this game adds what you complained months about into its game, and then you don't use it. So you're gonna complain about a skip button. They put it in and then don't fucking use it, and then use the excuse, well, in order to give a correct review, I have to sit through every single hour, every single second of the game. Bro, see, at this point, you're just trying to not like the game. Just say you don't want to play it. That's all you got to do. But if they have a skip button and you don't like the part of the story and you're bored, just skip it. I understand you cannot skip the TVs. I get that, but people specifically talking about the story and saying it's boring, okay, skip it. The devs put a skip button in there, so if you want to skip it and get to the gameplay. I don't get that logic at all. What I think the issue is here is the TVs are about 33%, the combat is about 33%, and the story is about 33%. And I think this weird ratio of, I guess, the fun versus like the story needs to be switched, because I do think by default, whether a content creator or people on Reddit or whatever are complaining about the game, I think a average player that comes in will 100% be deterred, because it's like too much in the beginning. And it's like, I just want to play and see the combat and see the characters and stuff, but you can't really do that, because it's like, you got to get through the story, you got to complete this, you got to do the side quests. And I do think this is going to contribute to the failure of the game, because if all these new players are coming in and they're not having a good time and it's too much story, when they're not here for that, they're just going to leave and just go back to playing what they want. So they really do need to change this. I'm not saying they need to change the whole entire mechanism of how the TVs work, but you can literally go in and speed it up. You can add a skip button, or you can go ahead and just take out some of the TVs and just make it a mini game. You can just shrink that portion of the game. Again, I just think this story and TVs are going to deter people from wanting to play the game, because when you hop in, it is a lot. I will agree, it is a lot. And especially people value their time a lot more nowadays. So like, you really got to make sure you grasp people in the beginning. So that's their only fault, in my opinion. So let's move on to my last one here. Now we're going to talk about the real culprit here. And I'm even feeling this myself, where I feel like I'm just exhausted from these games. It's just too much to do. Obviously, they're gonna have events. They're gonna have stuff to do in the game, because individually as a company, you want your game to have as much content as possible. But as a player of gacha games, you're playing 3 games at the same time. It's too much. You got the dailies, right? And then you got all the events you got to run through, because I mean, you got to get them gems, right? Like, you have to. So you at least got to get to a point in the events where you can get the rewards, right? And then they're releasing these things back to back. And then on top of that, you got to farm for the characters, right? And it's just a lot. And I think we're all just exhausted. And I think the reason why people are making up lies and excuses is because in reality, I think a lot of people just don't want another game on their plate, and they'll just use any excuse to just say, yeah, it's bad, I'm not gonna play it. Right? Like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I already got a good game not to play. I don't know. It's sad, because I think this is the most fully fledged game that's come out that we've experienced in terms of just content. This game has so much content. Like, when you play it, it just seems like a single player game. It just has everything that it needs in there. It's got the end game. We don't got to wait for a patch to get there, right? Everything's there. If it wasn't for the polychrome, it wasn't for like us having to buy the characters, I would say this would be a great single player game to play. And on top of having all this content, I think gamers nowadays aren't used to full games, and we don't know what a full game is, like a finished, polished game is, because that's one of the things that people said about the game. Oh, it's polished, it's very polished. I think we're used to early access games. We're used to these live service games going live with not all the content, not having in-game, not having all of the modes in there. This game's dropped with all the content in there. I mean, we got in-game in there already. We got a fully fledged story. They got the character set up. There's really no issues. You know, you got your daily setup, you got your errands. It's so much content in the game. And I feel like people just weren't ready for it. We just expected it to be like, okay, I get on, boom, boom, boom. I do my dailies, I do this, get off. Nah, bruh, this ain't that type of game. This is a game that you play. But yeah, I just think it's a lot, because even when this game dropped and I realized how much content there was, I was like, man, I might have to quit HSR or something, right? Like I might have to quit a game because it's just too much to keep up with. If you're a new player and you got all these games you're playing, and then someone says, oh, the story's bad, or you get into the game and there's nothing's really happening for the first 30 minutes to an hour, you're probably gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna just not play this, right? And I think this is gonna contribute to the failure of the game, because there's just too many things stacked up against it right now. New players, they're gonna say, hey, is the game good? Most people say, oh, it's not that great, and they just won't play. Or if they do play, now you got that next barrier of, oh, well, the TVs and the story is too long, and I'm not seeing too much gameplay, and that's absolutely justified. So I really think if they want to fix this, they got to fix some of those things I talked about. Specifically, they got to make the story shorter in the TV section, a lot more compressed in the beginning of the game. Yeah, I think that's why the game will fail. I'll still play it regardless if it fails. You know, there's Honkai Impact 3rd players out there that are playing a dead game, and that's okay. I'm sorry, that's too far. But yeah, I don't know. That's it. Oh yeah, also go watch that last video I made, because I think a lot of people that say the combat is bad, you'd be surprised how similar it is to Woo. I don't even know how to end this. Like, how do you even? I need an outro. I'm gonna be real. I need an outro so I could just cut